accused me of saying something bad that I didn't say to her. She said that I said that I saw in her porno, which I didn't say that. Um, yeah, they harassed me there. They harassed me at Oakton Community College in Des Plaines, Illinois, and in Skokie, Illinois. Yeah, in the little 2 week job that I had with the president of student affairs at Oakton Community College in Des Plaines, Illinois. There's like a little office there, right down the hall from the tutoring center. The FBI agents harassed me there too. They said that I had sex with the president of student affairs, which was a woman who was pregnant. I think her name is Janine. I remember it was started with a J, and I got that job there, and then the FBI agents came in there and made up a whole bunch of stuff about me and set me up, and actually wired the president of student affairs secretary, who was sitting in the desk next to me. I was just there, just doing like busy work. Like Janine, I guess that's her name. I'll just call her Janine or Jay. Said that she's paying me to do my homework. Like she was just, you know, paying me to just sit there and do nothing. Um, but she said it with like in a tongue in cheek kind of way. Um, then the FBI agent was in a room that another guy, one of the school faculty, had in his office. In that same office, like there are multiple offices. There's like a conference room. There's like a little room, and then there's the president of student affairs room with it, which is Janine's room, and then there's like a big uh, area with 3 desks or 4 desks, one of which I sat in along with the secretary to my right. And that room that I mentioned that was next to the conference room was occupied by the FBI agent, and he had spent like a night there, getting prepared to do the final showdown, so to speak, where they wired up the secretary with an earpiece, and they had a hidden camera hidden in a bushel of flowers, in a vase of flowers, and I could see they had Dr. Michael in that room next to the conference room, along with Michael the cop, that Italian cop who I mentioned killed his wife and shot his wife and said that it was an accident and they let him go. The FBI agent was there, and the president of student affairs was there, which was, again, I don't remember her name, but it started with a J. I'll just call her Janine, just for the purposes of this, expose. And at that point there, on that day, which was my last day, it was like 2 weeks after, or like a week after I started that job. It was a Monday, I remember that. Um, they had wired up the secretary, and the secretary brought me into that conference room along with the hidden camera. It was partially hidden. They wanted me to see it. The FBI agents, Dr. Michael the cop, and Janine were watching me in the next room over, and they were through the camera, and they were listening to me through the earpiece, and they were telling the secretary what to say. And the secretary, was accusing me. They told the secretary to accuse me of having sex with Janine. They told the secretary to accuse me of stealing the stapler. They told the secretary to accuse me that I measured something incorrectly. Like they had given me a BS job, to measure something, like a poster for like some sort of like framing, right? And this is, I guess, like one of their one of the FBI agents' inside jokes, where I was, because they frame me. That's like the FBI's thing, where they frame people. So they had me measure posters to be framed. Okay, so that was like an inside joke of the FBI. Like, it's like, what can we do as FBI agents to get this guy, while at the same time make it fun for us, right? So they decided to have me measure these posters that needed to be framed. Okay, quote unquote framed, which is what they do to me. They frame me. They follow me around. They notice, they take note of my location. They do things at that location, and then they say that I did those things. That's called framing. Okay, I mentioned this in one of my YouTube videos. All right, so let's Oh, what else? Where else did they harass me? They harassed me at UPS. I had a part-time job at UPS, just as a driver helper, just for the holidays, like for when they have a lot of uh, um, deliver packages to deliver for Christmas and Thanksgiving, all that stuff. And I did a driver helper job there, and I tried to apply for a job at UPS, but the computer system was sabotaged by the FBI, and I couldn't get in that. Um, I was harassed at, um, you know, the Chicago Messenger Service job that I had. Hold on, let me pull that one up. That's an interesting one. Okay, so this is the Chicago Messenger Service job that I had that I wrote about. So I used to have a van that looked like this. Okay, you see that van? It's a Ford Transit Connect 2010. That's not my van though. It looked like that. Okay. So this is how they framed me. I need to. This is the message that I wrote to Kuzel, Kuzel, from Chicago Messenger Service. This was, I guess, the supervisor. He's the guy who hired me. It says, I need to bring the FBI harassment I've been experiencing to your attention because it will affect me and Chicago Messenger Service / Veterans, which is a side company of Chicago Messenger Service. The whistleblowing and exposing of these FBI agents sometimes serves as a repellent to these corrupt FBI agents. Basically, I have been harassed by racist and corrupt FBI agents practically since my mom and I have immigrated from Iran to Chicago in 1985 when I was almost 3 years old. There have been at least 3 pairs of FBI agents who have been stalking me since then. The third pair have recently shown themselves to me. They are an older man and an older woman. These FBI agents' job is to latch onto me like a cancer or a leech and slowly ruin my life. And they have been successful. They can hear me and they read my emails. They know almost everything about me so that they can be more efficient at harassing me. Put publicly. Oh, this is not supposed to be put. It's supposed to be but. But publicly they deny any knowledge of me. So now that now that you have an idea of what's been going on Wednesday, December 23rd, 2015, I got dispatched to pick up a 4-path order from 5331 West 79th Street in Burbank, Illinois. 4-path is just like a company that CMS picks up orders from. It's like a medical company that tests like medical fluids and stuff like that, or at doctors' offices and stuff. From 5331 West 79th Street in Burbank, Illinois. Several days before this pickup in question, I had another pickup at the same address. However, I accidentally pulled into the lot adjacent to the parking lot I was supposed to park in. So what I'm talking about is this parking lot right here. This is the parking lot that I'm talking about. This parking lot is adjacent to the parking lot that's just off screen. Hold on, let me see if I can pull that up. Okay, so here's a good picture. So I was supposed to pull into this parking lot right here and go into this door and pick up the 4-path order to be delivered, but I accidentally parked in this parking lot. But again, this is not my van. Okay, this is an FBI operation where they try to make it seem like I parked my van here so much that I have a repeated pattern of parking my van here, because in actuality there's actually a guy, an old, like a degenerate European guy with like a thick European accent who lives here, and I didn't know that. Okay, I thought that this place right here was like abandoned. It used to be, I think, like an abandoned like laundromat or something like that. Okay, so I accidentally parked my van here, and the guy got angry, and I guess he called the police or something. But again, this is not my van. This is actually, so you notice these arrows here? This is a Google Maps image of that location. I went to Google Maps and I noticed that my van was parked in, like a van similar to mine was parked in that location. What the FBI, see, this is from my phone. See, you see the top? That's a screenshot from my phone. What the FBI agents did was park a van similar to mine in the guy's parking lot to make it seem that I was parking my van there a lot and had a repeated pattern of parking my van there a lot, when in fact I just parked it there once by accident when I was meaning to go here. I never meant to park my car here. I meant to park it there, but since I was new, I didn't realize I was parking in the wrong parking spot. Like, you know, being a delivery driver, you go to new places all the time. And I wasn't familiar with this spot, and I didn't know that anybody lived here. So it was completely an accident. But the FBI agents tried to make it seem like I did it on purpose so that they could say that I have a repeated pattern of going there. And repetition and intent is key in following someone and, you know, investigating someone and stuff like that. So they actually concocted this so that they could follow me at Chicago Messenger Service. Okay? Because after that, I remember like just weird things happening. For instance, I never got an order going to pick up at this place ever again. Like I remember like one of the dispatchers accidentally gave me an order here again. And then as I was pulling up to this place, another dispatcher called me and said, "Don't go here. Don't go here." Like I never picked up from here. I was banned from picking up from here because of the FBI agents harassing me like this. Okay? So then now that you have an idea, adjacent parking lot I was supposed to park in. After I came back into my van with the package, an angry man confronted me and yelled at me to back out and that I was on private property. I said sorry and that it was a mistake. I think he had called the police because as I was backing out, I saw a squad car pass by. He was irrationally angry and seemed to hate me for some reason. He was acting like a tough guy and acting as if I had just committed the worst crime in history. He seemed crazy and he clearly wasn't fluent in English. Now fast forward to Wednesday, December 23rd, 2015. I got dispatched to 5331 West 79th Street, address in Burbank, for another pickup. I parked in the correct parking lot this time, but I noticed evidence of the FBI tactics that I've noticed in the past. The tactics involve framing me. I noticed a silver Transit Connect similar to mine parked in the angry man's lot. You see what the government agents are doing? If you said they are framing you, Davoud, you are correct. The FBI probably got word about what happened previously with the angry man and his private property and came up with a plan to frame me. Now the angry man is probably called the police again and described the vehicle, which is similar to mine. So I'm talking about, you know, the FBI agents parking the Transit Connect that's similar to mine on his property so as to get a rise out of the angry man so that the angry man calls the police again. The police will play dumb and act as if it belongs to me, meaning the duplicate Transit Connect. Davoud Rui. Then the police will tell CMS to ban me from ever going to that pickup in Burbank, and this is how I will lose my job, or at the very least that particular pickup in Burbank, which happened. Right? I was dispatched again a second time or a third time to that pickup, which was a good pickup. It paid well, and I never got it again. You see how these government agents frame me and harass me? They have been using this framing tactic and other tactics on me almost my whole life. They have slowly but surely ruined my life. And the sad part is that people know that these agents are harassing me, but they usually don't tell me because the agents tell these people that it's illegal to talk about the FBI agents to the target, which is me. But it is not illegal to tell me what these FBI agents are doing because these FBI agents are stalking me, which is a crime. They aren't simply following me. They are following me for the purpose of harassing me. And there's really nothing I can do except to expose them or gather enough evidence to sue them. I have attached pictures of the van which looks similar to mine. Note that I say similar. Please don't ignore what I'm bringing to your attention. If you have any questions or need clarification because you are scratching your head, because this is something you can't seem to wrap your head around, I can clarify anything for you. Just ask. These FBI agents have told me that they have brought down entire corporations based on the testimony of a single informant. They are cold-hearted, soulless people. They pretend they are doing important work so that they can coast through life. They make around $70K a year, which comes to about $8 an hour because they work around the clock. They aren't going to risk their life going after real threats to our society for $8 an hour. So they chose me to frame and to scapegoat to make people think they are risking their lives for this country. They know that there is no oversight. I am bringing these FBI agents to your attention to save CMS, Chicago Messenger Service. They say that I'm the target and everybody else is collateral damage. They will start chipping away at the CMS/vets customer base slowly but surely. I've noticed that angelic organic orders are decreasing, which is another customer of Chicago Messenger Service/vets. At Diamond, where I used to work, which is Diamond Expedite, another messenger service that I used to work at before Chicago Messenger Service, I noticed that I no longer was dispatched to a regular customer I had after a security guard framed me. The security guard was probably told by the FBI agents to frame me based on the nature of what happened. I recognized the setup because the particular setup happened to me before. The FBI agents probably told the employees to stay out of view, or they somehow got the employees to stay out of view while I was at the counter. Then the security guard came up to me and changed his voice to mine and mocked the employees who were out of view to make the employees think that I was doing the mocking. You see how they framed me? Please, if you have any questions, ask me. I know it would be easier to just fire me than to face this dilemma, but I need this job because I have colon cancer and I need the money. The agents know I have cancer, yet they continue to harass me. You see how cold-hearted they are. Let the appropriate people within the company know what I'm telling you. You must keep in mind that these FBI agents know no bounds. FightGangStalking.com is a website that will clarify what these FBI agents do. It has happened to other people other than me. FBI harassment happens to gay people. These FBI agents thought I was gay because I looked gay, and that's part of the reason they've latched onto me. Another person to look up is Ted Gunderson, who was a former FBI agent and an FBI whistleblower who tried to expose corrupt FBI agents. Another person is former FBI agent Mike German. Mike German is a whistleblower who is trying to expose corrupt FBI agents. Mike German actually did dangerous investigative work while in the FBI as an FBI agent because he was going after domestic white supremacist groups. He got banned from the FBI for whistleblowing against the FBI. He was a good FBI agent and not a corrupt one. I can't stress enough about how important it is for you and CMS to know about what these corrupt FBI agents do. It is vital to my safety and the safety of CMS vets. Note, the van in the photo isn't my van, but a van similar to mine, placed there by the FBI to frame me. The van is in the angry man's private lot where I had only one time accidentally parked to make a pickup. I never parked in the angry man's lot ever again. The FBI agents are trying to make it look like I have a pattern of parking there so that I get fired from my job. And then I posted the screenshots there. 2015. And this was written back in Sunday, December 27th, 2015 at 4:34 p.m. Basically what happened is I went there for a second time here, right here, to do the pickup, and I noticed a van similar to mine parked in the near the, actually it was parked kind of like on the sidewalk when I was there, and a van just like this one, and the it's kind of like off screen, probably more like around here, right there by the driveway. And I was right there doing the pickup. This was the second time after I realized that this is not the parking lot I'm supposed to park in. So I parked in. It's the second time I got this pickup. I went and parked in the correct parking spot. And I noticed that this van was actually parked right here, right there by the driveway. And I decided, I've been harassed by the FBI a lot, and I know their tactics, and they have a pattern of framing me and harassing me at my job. So I went on Google Maps, and I noticed that picture of Google Maps with the van parked in the guy's private parking lot with a van similar to mine, not exactly the same. If you look at my van, which I got rid of because I no longer do that job anymore, it's similar to it. They have different versions of the 2010 Ford Transit Connect, and mine was similar to that van. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar to it. So anybody who looks at it would say, oh, that's my van. But if you look at it carefully and upon closer inspection, you can notice slight differences between my van and the van that was placed there to frame me. So that's an easy way out. Like, the cops will say, oh, we thought it was his van because it looks similar. And I have to bring up the fact that it's not my van and that it's similar to my van, and the FBI is trying to frame me and all this stuff. Okay, so that's how they get out of getting in trouble. They'll put a van similar to mine, not exactly identical to mine, but similar to mine, to frame me. And they'll say, oops, it was an honest mistake. It was similar to his van, meaning my van. Okay, so that's the CMS situation. Okay, so where was I now? So that's the CMS situation. So I suffered internal bleeding. So this is and diagnosed. I'm suffering in science is still averaging. There should be considered terrorist organization. That was posted October 15, 2019, and that was for Randall Kurtz, DC, the chiropractor. I went over to, let's see, off. And that was also posted to Yelp on 11/8/2019. Okay, good. Now, next one, North Shore Medical Group. This is so aggravating going through all these. I'm getting so tired of this. No one's helped me. All these people know about this, and no one's helped me. They've all, because it's so corrupt around here in Chicago, in Crook County. Actually, right now I'm in Skokie. It's corrupt here too. I mean, they're all in on it. All these guys in top positions and in schools and stuff, the faculty and administrators, they're all in on this. They're all corrupt. I was harassed here by the FBI. So this is North Shore Medical Group, 9977 Woods Drive. But again, Yelp has it as 9933 Woods Drive. Okay. So So I was harassed here by the FBI and cops and a doctor who goes by the name of Michael on or about September of 2005. The FBI agents who had been stalking me from, it says B, but it's actually me, from the early 90s had gotten word from the gay informant who the FBI agents had following slash stalking me that I had visited this hospital back in September of 2003. The FBI agents found out that I had met with Dr. Michael and had started harassing him as well. The FBI agents usually harass and follow people who they find out that I have been in contact with. But I didn't know that the FBI agents had been stalking Dr. Michael until I visited him again in 2005 for a medical question. Dr. Michael is the guy who I want more info about because he had worked with the FBI agents to harass me at Club O, which is a strip club in Illinois. The FBI agents, Dr. Michael and Michael, the cop from the Skokie police, who probably doesn't work with the Skokie police anymore, was also there at Club O. Again, I mentioned this earlier in this video. The cop who I am talking about is the cop who has a son by the same name, Michael, and is the cop who shot and killed his wife and claimed it was an accident and the cops let him go. This is the Italian cop I'm talking about. It's this big, tall cop, probably like 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". He's big and fat, probably weighs between 300 and 400 pounds. He also harassed me at Factory and Cardi Party outlet, and he also tried to run me over back in 2001, back when the FBI agents had a Illinois state cop pull me over to give me a speeding ticket that eventually got my license revoked, my driver's license, because I wanted to get a gun and the FBI agents didn't want to follow me while I had a gun. So they had a cop give me a traffic ticket that revoked my license so that the FBI agents could, let me have a gun, but since I was immobile, since I didn't have a license to drive, they didn't have to worry about following me because I was basically, grounded and I didn't have a way to get around. Dr. Michael threatened me at the doctor's visit while I was in the... And how did they know? How did the FBI agents know that I wanted to get a gun? Because they followed me to the outdoor... it's like a outdoor shop in northern Illinois. I think it's called like Bass Pro Shops or something like that. And I think it's in like Gurnee or something. It's right around where Great America is. Six Flags Great America is in Illinois. It's way up north. I wanted to get a Glock, and the FBI agent followed me there, and he was standing right behind me, and he actually asked me, "Why do you want to get a gun?" I ignored him and walked away. But after that, they had the Illinois State trooper give me a license revoking traffic ticket so that the FBI agents didn't have to worry about following me anymore because they were afraid that I had a gun and I would, take a stand for myself against these stalkers. So they wanted me to stay grounded and not able to drive by having the Illinois State Trooper give me a traffic ticket that revoked my license. So actually, let me show you where the traffic ticket was given to me. All right, okay. So this is Skokie. That's Morton Grove. It was right here. So I was in my 2000 turbo silver Volkswagen New Beetle. This is Dempster Street. I was going west on Dempster Street, and this is the highway. This is 94, I-94. And this is where you merge onto the highway. And since the speed limit is 55 here, but people are going much faster than 55. I mean, I go 55 on that road, and people are zooming past me probably around, like, just to guess, like 70, 75 miles an hour. So you have to, in order to merge with traffic, you have to speed up on this ramp to like 70, 75 miles an hour, just so that you avoid an accident from all these fast-moving cars. Okay, this traffic is moving north. Some of it, the other side is moving south. This is I-94 west. It's officially called I-94 West, but the traffic moves north and south at this part. So I was going west, and there's like so this is Dempster right here, and this is actually a bridge. Dempster has a bridge right here that the Illinois State Police cop was hiding under, and he had his radar trained right on me as I was merging onto traffic. So again, I was going west on Dempster, and the FBI agents knew that I had a pattern of driving my car this way because I would take it for joyrides and stuff. It was a fun car to drive, and they knew that I would just spend hours and hours in my car driving it and stuff like that. So they knew to position a cop here, and I had, at that time, because they knew that they were following me so much that they knew my patterns. So I went west and I merged onto the highway, and right here was the cop right there waiting for me, ready to get me a ticket. And he was there specifically waiting for me to get me a ticket. They had, the FBI had a lookout for a 2000 silver Volkswagen New Beetle that was easy to identify because it was unique, and they knew that it was me, and they pulled me over. They would probably keep in contact with the cop too, via phone, via radio. So that's what happened there. And actually, what led to that car's engine being ruined was the license revocation, because during that 1 year where I didn't have my license, I eventually got it back after 1 year. It was a 1 year revocation. I didn't change the oil. So when I started it back up in 2002, the oil, I was going by the mileage. I changed it every certain miles, and I wasn't going by the date because I drove it so much that I was used to changing it every like 2,000 to 3,000 miles. But because I hadn't driven it for a year, it was still not at the mileage where I had set to change it. But the oil had been sitting there for a year, and I didn't realize it. So I drove it with year-old oil up to like 3,000 miles. I think before, like when I got my license revoked, it was like driven like 1,000 miles or like 500 miles with the new oil that I just changed it with. And then I parked my car and I couldn't drive it anymore. And it just sat there for a year with 500 to 1,000 miles with, expended on the oil. And then I drove it once I got my license back to 3,000 miles with year-old oil in there. And that's a big no-no, especially with oil from back in those days. This was back in like 2002. It wasn't long life oil where you can change it every like year. You had to change it like frequently, even though it was synthetic. Like having year-long oil in there, and that's what damaged my engine. So these domino effects with these FBI agents harassing me, like before that license revocation, the car didn't burn any oil. It was a 1.8 liter engine, and it was tight. It didn't burn a drop of oil. Like I would pour in, the specified amount of oil, and I would check it every, gas fill up, and it was always at the top of the line, on the dipstick. It never burned any oil before that, and then that incident happened with the license revocation, and me leaving the car there for a year. So I left it there with year-long oil, and then I drove it, not remembering that I was supposed to change the oil every 3,000 miles or 3 months back then. Back then they didn't have the long life oil, so I left it there. I drove it. I remember I went by mileage probably like 2,000, 3,000 miles, but at that time the oil was like a year and a half old, almost 2 years old, and it just ruined the engine. And then after that, it started burning oil. I remember coming from QuakeCon 2002, or going to QuakeCon 2002, which was from Illinois to Texas, somewhere around Dallas, Texas. It was like a 1,000-mile trip, and I pulled out the dipstick, and the dipstick had no oil on it. It was completely dry. Right, that was 2002. I got my license back in I think it was like May or March of 2002, and then QuakeCon was August of 2002. That's when I went, and I drove the car there, the Beetle, and The long trip didn't damage the engine. It was the fact that I forgot to change the oil. I was going by the mileage, you see. I changed it every 2,000 miles because I drove it so frequently, right? I didn't go by the date. I was not used to changing it every, 2 to 3 months. I was used to changing it every 2,000 miles, which was probably like every 2 to 3 weeks. That's how much I drove that car. That's how much I loved it. But because I got my license revoked, and I didn't realize that the oil was old, I forgot all about the oil because the car was just sitting there on the street because I couldn't drive it because my license was revoked. I was driving it to QuakeCon, and before that even, because QuakeCon was in August. So from like May when I got or March when I got my license back, up until August, I was still driving it with that year-long old oil, and that damaged the engine. So when I got to QuakeCon, it was like completely dry. No oil. So I mean, the point is, if I hadn't had my license revoked, I would have continued driving my car. And this was like for a bullshit reason. This place where they had the Illinois State Trooper give me a ticket, all because they didn't want me, driving around with a gun because they wanted to keep following me, but they were afraid that I had a gun and that I would, stand up for myself because they were stalking me. What they were doing was illegal. They didn't want to stalk me while I had a gun, so they had my license revoked. All right. Dr. Michael threatened me at the doctor's office visit while I was in the office, and he was wired up so that the FBI agents and the cops who had been hiding all throughout the hospital were listening in and laughing at me as the FBI agents told them all about my life and the way the FBI agents had harassed me throughout my childhood and into my adulthood. They talked about poisoning me. They talked about stealing from me and entering my home and car and damaging things and scratching up my car. They talked about the socks that I masturbated into, and at one point the FBI agent went into the trunk of his 1990 light blue Ford Escort and pulled out a white sock, and I could hear the dozens and dozens of cops in the hospital laughing at the sight of the FBI agent pulling out the sock from the trunk of his car that he used to follow me in. Now they drive in an SUV, I know why, but that is another story. I basically scared them at a gathering that my mom used to go to in Wisconsin one night. They had parked their car behind my car, and they had one of the patrons of that gathering. It's kind of like a church gathering. Not a church, I don't know what to call it. It's kind of like a religious gathering that my mom used to go to. It wasn't even religious. It was kind of like just I don't know what to call it. They would go. It was like a meditation gathering in Wisconsin. I guess that's the closest thing. They would go there and meditate. One of the meditators saw me in the parking lot sitting in my car because I had noticed at that time that the FBI agents were sneaking a peek through the windows of one of the buildings on that site. And I had decided one night to just sit in my car to surveil the outside of the building to see if the FBI agents would come back. I didn't know who they were at the time. I just thought there were some creeps creeping through the window. But the FBI agents came behind my car as I was sitting in it, and the guy who they told to come up to my car and give me some food like chicken and rice, they told him to make like the masturbation faces I was